Karen Gaudet. She will talk about, and they will reflect on the Microsoft case study, improving the value creating work of building data centers around the world. So Karen, I give the stage to you directly there from the United States.
Thank you, Tomas. What an incredible presentation from the healthcare team. My gosh, really powerful. It's an honor for me to be here today and share this stage with Microsoft Data Center Construction Leader, Mark Berkani, who is the global leader of their lean efforts. Hi, welcome, Mark. My name is Karen Gaudet, as we shared, and I am one of the LEI coaches who's learning alongside Microsoft Data Center Delivery Team as they take on the exciting challenge of a lean transformation. We were first introduced to Microsoft about a couple of years ago as they were the customer of an actual general contractor that we had been working with. We were first unique to the opportunity to really go deep and understand the complexities of applying lean thinking and practice to the value creating work on the construction site. Really getting down into the details meant learning how to learn inside of all the key business relationships that are involved. It's been a formidable experiment, and we've learned a lot, though we're still on this journey. I don't know, Mark, how are you doing today? Are you able to pull up our presentation?
Yeah, you're not seeing it right now?
I don't see it.
Okay, you can hear me though.
Fine.
That's good.
We can hear you, which is great. It's okay.
All right, I think it will show up here now. Let me know if you see it now.
Almost. Perfect. Excellent.
All right, sorry about that. I jumped to it. Jumped out of there one.
Not a problem at all.
Too early.
Yeah, okay. Not a problem at all. If you want to go ahead. So our discussion today for the next 30 minutes, we want to cover off on these four major points. So we want to represent with you or to you kind of what is the data center development purpose? What has been the learnings and how have we approached improving? How through that process have we built capability and with whom have we built that capability with? And then we'll cap it off with some 4 major lessons that we have taken so far, though we're still on this journey, and then have an opportunity to take people's questions and get some answers for you on that. You can go ahead and step forward. I really want to ground us, though, as many have, in the lean transformational framework and really represent that we have used the 5 dimensions of the lean transformational framework as a guidepost explicitly and implicitly as we have worked through learning deeply about the work of construction. With that, I'd like to hand off the microphone to Mark Berkani. As I said, he is the leader for Microsoft Data Center Development, regional leader, as well as the global lean leader. Mark is going to share with you in more detail all of what we've learned. Mark, I'm going to hand it off to you for now.
Okay, Karen, thank you very much. All right, it's my pleasure to be here. Everybody, you can hear me all right? I'm assuming. Okay. Well, we entered this lean journey at Microsoft. My lean journey started like in '99 in manufacturing with the Genie manufacturing, and I moved into data center construction about 12 years ago. We started our journey with LEI, like Karen said, a couple of years ago, and just looking for the opportunity how to apply lean into the construction area. So the first question here. So we're the team. Data Center Delivery is a team that builds the data centers for Microsoft. We're a part of Microsoft, and we're the construction team that takes the design from our engineering team and then builds these data centers across the globe. So what is the sum of our business? We are designing and building the most efficient, cost-effective, reliable, and easy to operate data centers in the world. That's our goal, to build them cost-effective and extremely reliable. And what is the purpose or value provided by constructing these data centers for Microsoft? We're aligned here with the Microsoft mission, right? To provide reliable and affordable cloud computing infrastructure for every person and organization on the planet. So we compete with the Amazons, the Google, IBM, the other cloud providers. But our mission here really kind of supports the overall Microsoft mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So when we started working with LEI a couple of years ago, and looking for opportunities to apply a lot of the lean philosophy and culture into our data center construction teams and our sites, of course, the first question we had to ask is, what problems are we trying to solve? And those problems that we came up with a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, they still are the driving factor today. Our cycle time to complete some of our first shell in colos are about 15 plus months, and we want to drive that down to 11 or 12 months. Just turn around our return on investment a little quicker. We've also had a lot of equipment failure issues that would lead to major quality issues at our handoff to operations. So we wanted to set a goal to drive those major issues down to zero when we were done with construction and ready to hand off to the operation team. And Microsoft is extremely into providing a safe construction site, more than any other company I've ever worked for in my 30-some year career. So the safety goal was to reduce the current incident rate that was at about 0.9 to 0.3 and be able to sustain it around 0.3 or 0.2. Now, if some of you are in the construction field, and I think that the global averages are more between 2 and 3 on a recordable incident rate. So Microsoft really wants to be much better than that. We want to be 10% of that. So they have extremely high safety goals at Microsoft, which is a great thing to keep the construction workers and their employees safe. So if you look at the slide here, it's got a lot of words, but if it's just basically showing the challenges that we had with the relationships on a construction site. Like I said, I came from Genie. Well, it was really easy to implement lean at Genie. We all worked for Genie. It was the culture. As soon as you started there, you were immersed in it, right? On the construction site, it's a little bit different. If you start at the bottom of this pyramid, we have the different Microsoft silos. We have procurement. We have engineering. We have contracts. We have Azure. All these different teams at Microsoft. We have project managers on site. We have regional directors that support those project managers on site. And then those project managers, along with these other silos at Microsoft, hired general contractors who in turn hired tradesmen that sometimes hire sub-tradesmen and 2-3 tiers of subcontractors to finally get to that value creating work. So it's definitely more of a challenge to get to the value creating work than it was at Genie, where you're working directly for that company. So that was one of my biggest concerns when we started this venture. It has some challenges, but it has not been as much as I thought it would be. So the story we're going to talk about today is a story about what we call a hack. And if people who aren't familiar with data centers, it stands for hot aisle containment. And that's mainly, in most cases that I've seen in data centers, the hack is made up of steel components, whether it's unistrut or tubing. It's got arms on it, so it supports the electrical receptacles. What you see in the little picture on the right there, that gets lifted up in the air, and the servers go underneath and butt up against it. And so the hot aisle containment, the front of the servers get fed cold air, and then the server fans blow the air through the servers. The computer servers heat up the air, and then the hot aisle containment is basically an exhaust. So the inside of this containment goes up to the ceiling plenum and removes the hot air from the data center. And so that's the main function of the hack. We're going to talk about today is a new hack manufacturer that really makes sense to perform a pre-construction process planning stage. Start planning for the work. We used to call this 3P back in manufacturing, and that was the preparation process for production. We found a similar value in construction. So in this case, we, like 5 or 6 weeks before the actual hacks were going to be put together, we started talking with the manufacturer. We started talking with the mechanical team that was going to put it together, along with the general contractor who hired that mechanical team, along with Microsoft, and really started that coordination process. And the value of it is you start to answer a lot of questions and a lot of problems that come to the surface where you normally might not see that until the trade partners hit the ground with the steel there. So on the far left, that's what we started doing. We started discussing the scope, what was going to be the mechanical team's process. They hand off to electrical trade, what was going to be their process, make sure everybody was in alignment. It unearthed a lot of questions. So we had to get some certain lifts ordered in order to complete the work as planned. So that helped out quite a bit. And again, this is kind of part of where a lot of people do the LPS, the last planner session, and they start making up their schedule with the trade partners. This is just a little deeper dive into the work, really, laying out bullet points of what are your steps of your work that you're going to be doing to clearly identify these steps between the trade partners that are going to be working on that similar product. So we start from the left here, define that process scope, start the planning, get the lifts, get the materials, figure out how many people, start looking about, do we need any fixtures or any jigs, any supports, any special tools? Now you have time to order them. So we did all that stuff here. We moved to the middle, and this is when we came on site and did some process observations, did the improvement cycles, to working with the trade partners to improve the work and reduce the hard work and reduce the waste. And then from that, we developed standard work and documented that standard work. And that's going to be kind of the baseline going forward. The teams that use this same type of hack in the future, we'll start with this standard work. And we're building these data centers at, maybe 30 locations, 20, 30 locations across the globe. So that's the value of it. We can determine the safe practice, standard work, and share it with these other team members that are starting on different locations. The last box on the right, the reflection, this is the capability development portion of it. Make sure we share the learnings with the trade partners, the supervisors, the management team, so they all get the benefit of these lean improvements in the Kaizen method. And that was really the process that we developed with the hack. Studying studying the current work starts with the 3C training, right? And I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. So some of the initial observations that we made, the initial pre-planning stages, we worked with the manufacturer. We said, hey, you guys designed this thing. You must have an intent on how it goes together. So that was the starting process. We got basically like an IKEA instruction set from them. That was a great, standard work starting process on their intent. And then we worked with the trade partners and really focused on number 3 down in the bottom right corner here. We taught them to kind of visualize, waste and value and added and incidental. But mainly we focused on, making the work more cyclical. Right. The construction trades, they don't believe a lot of their work is cyclical. It's a special build. It's one of a kind, but it's made up of many cyclical repetitive processes. So that's one of the key learnings that we have is that when you really start focusing and making their work cyclical, assigning tasks, that's really where a lot of the benefits come into play. So we gave them some brief training on this, show them how to identify waste, and then attack the Gemba, the actual the work on the construction site. And, we deeply understood the current state. We dove into it, right? Looking at the material flow and the other flows associated with the 5 M's, right? So, many of you have heard 4 M's. I threw another, with construction, when we say it's 5 M's, we got Mother Nature to deal with because a lot of this activity is outside. So we got to deal with the snow or the wind. So we have to take that into consideration too. But in this deep dive, we focused on the trade members. How many do we need? what skill level, materials, how should it be packaged, how should we receive it, how much of it should we have, where should the supermarket be. We looked at machines and tools and what kind of jigs and fixtures. And you can see in these pictures, the wooden blocks and the back support, that was all part of that pre-process planning. And they were able to make these devices up before they came to site. Methods, we got the manufacturer to give us an instruction set. That's the two lower pictures there. And then Mother Nature, we were pretty, we've had an issue with some of the deliveries due to Mother Nature, but for the most part, we were working inside here. We were able to find a corner to be able to assemble this inside. I'm just going to do a time check here to make sure I'm not talking too long. I think I'm on track. So again, to deeply understand some of the current state, we studied the work in a quantifiable way. So if you look at the photos here, if we go across the top, we did the work observations. We classified them the 3 C's. We highlighted the hard work. We went after eliminating the hard work. We highlighted the waste. We went after eliminating the waste. And the abnormal and the periodic type things that weren't cyclical, we tried to get rid of the abnormal and make the periodic as infrequent as possible and bring those into the cyclical work as much as we can. In the middle there just kind of shows we took video of a lot of the work. That was a neat tool. We were able to share the video with the workers and get their ideas, show them what we're seeing, show them the extra walking steps and the waste. They really see it when you show them in a video and really come up with ideas to help you on that. So some of the examples here on the right, number of times materials and tools were shared and passed between workers were counted. And so, we quickly noted we wanted to get more tools. They shouldn't be sharing tools, right? There's a lot of waiting time spent for one worker to wait for another one to get done with the tool. We counted the number of times the carts moved to collect materials. You can see the little carts in the bottom middle. They're drywall carts. They used a lot of these carts, constantly making runs over to the supermarket. We counted the number of times they bended and reached and timed, all these activities, the heavy lifting, and noted and tried to get rid of it.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Hello, Victoria. How are you? I'm doing great. And you? Fine, thank you.
Okay. Can you guys still hear me? Are we good to keep going?
No, I can hear you there. Are you gonna be sharing your screen?
Are you guys okay? I'm gonna keep going. I don't know. So the next, what you see on the screen right now is the Yamazumi. It was basically the measured cycle times before the improvement. So this is the times it took 3,000 seconds to assemble a half hack, basically.
Yes, I can see it.
We can hear somebody on there. I don't know if anybody.
That's your presentation, right? Yeah. Okay.
Are you guys okay? So I got a couple examples of the pre-improvement condition and then the after.
No, it's normal. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to keep going on here, guys. I'm sorry, we got some. Excuse me, we got some background noises here.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Mark,
okay?
yeah, we are getting some background
going
noise. Yeah,
I'll
please
talk
continue.
over. I just wasn't sure if you guys can still hear me.
We can still hear you, Mark.
Okay, I'll continue on. I'll just talk real loud now. Okay, so I got some examples of the before and after, basically, of the improvements. So to give you an idea of some of the things we did, they had multiple carts bringing in the components. They had tools and supplies that were stored away from the point of use, and they're constantly walking for parts, constantly walking for tools.
It's still sharing.
And then on the right side, you can see the improved condition. We moved the tools and the point of to the point of use. And that's what you see up here on the right, far right picture. We needed scaffolding to assemble the top portion of the hack, so we decided to use that scaffolding to transport the parts to the assembly area. So we got rid of those drywall carts, and we reduced the supermarket trips from to one trip, basically, for the right and left side of the scaffold. So greatly reduced down the number of trips. The scaffold would come out of the assembly area. They'd fill it with parts, and then they'd remove those parts from the one side of the scaffold and build up the lower section of the hack. and that freed up the space that they could stand there, and then they would reach and grab the other parts to build up the upper part of the hack.
So 15 minutes before the presentation, you just go there. And
this is another example. The arms get installed on the hack, and certain electrical receptacles and stuff get mounted to these arms, and basket tray and fiber. So the before condition was they were delivered to the hack one at a time. They leaned them up against the hack, and then they ran a string line across the top, and they used 2 people, as you can see there in the middle, to basically mount
Hi,
these
Mark.
arms.
I'm sorry to interrupt your presentation. I think we've identified the source of that audio.
Okay.
You may have another tab open in your browser that is causing the problem. And if you could close the other tab, we should not hear them anymore.
Okay. Is that...
Okay, we no longer hear additional voices, so let's get back to your presentation. I apologize for that. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we can... Sorry about that. I didn't realize
And
okay,
Karen
so we have
has this. Okay, great, Mark. You have your slides ready. Here you are. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So this arm. So if you look at the after, the team, the LEI, led this kind of moonshining effort. And if you're not familiar with the moonshining term, it's making something from nothing. It's based on the old the moonshiners down in the south of the U.S. who made moonshine from just old radiators and stuff they found in junkyards. So the LEI team and Microsoft team made up an initial cart here, basically out of duct tape and cardboard, to kind of give the operators some ideas on how to a different approach to transport the arms and insert the arms. So the cardboard one was transformed. The mechanical team they're made up of carpenters, so they made about 4 of these out of wood. They were able to load the carts up. They were able to go down the line, install the 3 levels of arms that are on this hack on each side, and it became a one-person job at that point. So as a result of the work improvements here, we reduced a lot of hard work, a lot of safety risks. We reduced a lot of waste, and we saved 28 minutes of time on the half of a hack section, which is a little over 50% of the initial time that we observed. And this, got to take that into account also. We hit the ground running. Remember, we did that 3P process. We planned. We had a lot of tools ordered. We had things there. So, I mean, we cut the cycle time down in more than a half. I think it would have been much greater improvement had they hit the ground with no support in that pre-construction process planning. And each building, roughly takes 100 of these hacks. So you can kind of get an idea of the actual time saves. If you can save 28 minutes on a half a section, you got to build 100 of them. And you got a team of 4 people working on it. It's a good savings for everybody. Everybody benefits from it. This mechanical team comes off the critical path. They get their work done on schedule. The general contractor's happy. They're happy. Microsoft's happy. We get our data center on time. So it's definitely a win-win situation. So some of the reflections that we learned along the way, it's definitely important to engage with procurement and design early in the process. Procurement's always based on, what's the cost from the manufacturer, but working with us, they can kind of understand what the total cost is, right? When you start looking at the cost of assembly, it's not just the purchase cost. If something takes a lot longer to put together, there is added costs of assembly. And design, there's always opportunities to improve constructability in the design phase. And we see a lot of that over and over where that opportunity exists. The second bullet point here, it's important to develop general contractor language to include the what and the how to improve the work. you're basically, you're going to be improving safety, quality, schedule, and cost. So putting some contract language to set expectations on this lean journey, they become aware of it, and it doesn't become an added cost to the project. It's an expectation. So we're continually developing that language. The third bullet point, develop an overall project expectations to include the 5S and visual management site plan, work design and work improvement expectations. Definitely set expectations for a daily management system that enables problems to be recognized, escalated, and solved effectively. And we're working on these three things. We don't have it all figured out yet. We're still in that learning venture. But we're seeing some, great results so far. The last bullet item here, link the project schedule to the pace of the work, right? And that work is impacted by the 3 C's, the studying of the work in the GIMBA. We see a lot of our project schedules that come in with just a base, estimate. Okay, we quoted for 50 feet a day, right? And really they can maybe achieve 100, 150 feet a day. So really diving into the work, diving into the GIMBA, making these improvements allows you to link your project schedule to a more accurate pace of the work. So at this point, I think is a question and answer. I think we have about 3 minutes left. Sorry about that interference. I didn't realize I had some other tabs opened up there.
No, thank you so much, Mark, for navigating all of the technical opportunities that we had before us, and sharing the context of the story that we've been on so far. I have a question in reference to the complexity of the relationships that you're working through. There's the GCs and the subs or the trades. What have you found to be most rewarding in that process of getting to understand those relationships and kind of share this approach to improving their work, really, and reducing some of that burden and hard work that exists, as well as improving the safety conditions in which they're working? So what has been kind of one of the most rewarding areas for you in this learning?
I think the most rewarding is that the trade partners on the construction site have no process engineering support, and we are able to provide that support to them, right? They're out there, they get tossed a hammer and a screwdriver and say, finish the work and get it done fast, right? There's no support like we had in manufacturing, where, there's ergonomic studies that are evaluating all the aspects of the work. So, working with them to make the work less burdensome on them has been real rewarding. That's got to be the most rewarding part of it. They question whether we can help at all, but then once they see it, they really are on board, because they feel better at the end of the day. They go home and they're able to play with the kids at night instead of going right to bed because they got energy left, so. That's
great. That is great. Can you share a little bit about what's next in your lean journey? So where are you in your approach, and what are the next kind of levels of challenge for you to take on?
Well, next we're hiring a couple team members to support the GIMBA efforts in the lean cultural transformation. It's basically been me and LEI teaming up since March, going out to the various sites, working with the team members to improve the work. So we're going to staff up a little bit. We're going to focus on some 5S to improve our job site organization. We're focusing on some visual management so that we can walk through the site and kind of know where they wanted to be for today and where they're actually at. We don't have that visibility right now. Those are the main things that we're working on. But basically, we're working on creating the standard work so we can share standard work of our construction processes across our various sites.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Karen.